Alright, Frontal Blessings. We are back with another video. Before I begin, a couple quick announcements. Obviously, 8th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, which as of today is literally just under 2 weeks away. Unbelievable. I'm sorry, a little bit over 2 weeks. Alright, today's the 15th. Kicks off in 15 days. It's going to start Thursday, October 30th. That'll start our meet and greet and opening ritual on Thursday evening. That'll start 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, if you have registered and signed up and you're going to be here in person, if you are attending that opening night meet and greets and ritual, please make sure you are here on time. Make sure your travel arrangements and things of that nature get you here on time, okay? And then on Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. we will have classes and presentations and workshops and things of that nature. And then both nights we come back later in the evening at about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we do our group ritual on both nights, followed after the group ritual with a social, a dinner, just kind of hanging out, kicking it, getting some good food and all that good shit. All right, that's on Friday and Saturday night, and then the event wraps up on Sunday from noon to 4 p.m. Where I'll be doing a question and answer session to close the conference out. You can attend live and in person, or you can attend virtually, which gives you access to all of the classes and the workshops. Does not give you access to the rituals. I don't, like I do on Patreon. It's different when I'm doing it in a small set. There's too much going on. But you can attend virtually, and that will give you access to all the classes and the presentations and the workshops and things of that nature. All right. So if you want to sign up, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com, and I will send you that information for the 8th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. Also, if you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different types of readings: Klipothic demonic readings, Septimal workday readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, which is always a great reading to do if you're looking for a sense of purpose and direction. If, people sometimes are very unsure, what kind of ritual work should I be doing? Shadow work specifically identifies what you got going on around you in the current moment. I always tell people your ritual work should be designed first and foremost for needs that need to be addressed, where some people make the mistake and they focus on all their wants, and that's usually doesn't turn out too well. Or maybe you're interested in a deity reading to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you. Or maybe you're just interested in a spiritual consultation. And again, people just use that. They have a bunch of questions for me about the occult or the left-hand path. And they literally come with, a list full of questions written down. Any of the aforementioned, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. And if you would like to set up a reading, please include the days and times you are available, full weekly availability, and also the time zone you're in. We'll find a day and time that works for us, all right? If you want to sign up for classes, I got a bunch of classes going on the Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the tier you want to go to. Also, when you go to the Patreon page, click the collection section, and you will see all the current ongoing classes, and there's a lot of them. With constant new classes being added on a regular basis. Keep in mind, when you join Tier 3, you don't just get access to the classes from the day you join. Moving forward, you get access to everything in the archives, which is going 6+ years back. All right, and you also get access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, including a group ritual we do together at the end of the month. That's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, Tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. All right. Also, don't forget to check out the social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram. Primordial Chaos 2 words on Facebook. PrimordialChaos.com 3. That's on TikTok. That's the latest, the best place to stay abreast of all the classes, announcements, latest happenings, events, Go to those platforms, subscribe, and stay abreast of what I'm doing here at Primordial Chaos. Also, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Again, don't forget to hit that like button. That gets the algorithm of these videos out there. So it takes a split second. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and then hit that notification bell and check all notifications. So hopefully you'll get a notification every time that I go live and post a new video. All right. The direct link to my podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, and the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links are in the description box of this video that you're watching right now. All right, so let's get it in. So I received an email. This one was interesting, and I kind of liked this because I like when newer people, well, I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but a newer person for an individual is sincerely looking into this path, etc. So this person sent me an honest email. Said, look, technically right now I'm still a Christian, but I'm searching. I got questions, I got answers, and I'm not getting it from the church, and I'm not getting it from my religion of Christianity. This person said, I stumbled across your channel a few months back, and quote unquote, I can say I'm at the point now where you're giving me stuff to think about. So this person hasn't fully, transitioned over to the occult or left-hand path. From what I've read in this person's email, this person is still kind of feeling it out, searching it out, kind of in the middle, but definitely has some doubts and concerns being raised by Christianity because she's starting to see some of the faults in the religion, and a lot of her questions can't be answered. So she mentions to me if I could address and expound on further that I always talk about, or she hears me off and on in videos over the years talking about how we are gods and goddesses, and I'm always referring to some of the quotes like in John and Psalms, how the Bible even refers to us as gods. So that was mainly her question. Her question basically was, by looking at this, are you saying, or are we to look at this, that human beings, according to the Bible, are considered gods? So that's it. That's why the title of the video is what it is. And the answer to that is completely 100,000% yes, according to the Bible. It makes it crystal clear. So this tutorial will be just focusing on that, going back over and explaining why that is and why we come up with that. And we'll go through that. So I've said this many times on and off over the years, clearly. I've explained it, and I'm going to tell you why. So let's start and let's work our way back. We'll start. She referred to where she's heard me say a few times about John chapter 10. And I want to reiterate this. And as I've said before, it's not that the Bible is a messed up book, or it's not a messed up book when it's used correctly and when you understand the esoteric teachings of it. It is a fucked up book when it's used to corrupt, indoctrinate, and manipulate. And that's what religion has basically done, because most people that are religious, and Christians or Muslims or even Jews, all three monotheistic Abrahamic faiths, they're very confused and indoctrinated about their stance on who and what God is, the Bible. And when men now have crept their hands in and interpreted these things incorrectly, then we have these man-made religions. So I always point out, yes, we are referred to as gods and gods in the Bible. So let's start real quick. And this, again, will be a short tutorial because I could talk about this for a while, but I'm just going to point out the key points. Let's start in the book of John, chapter 10, the Gospel of John. Now, remember, in the Bible, you have the 3 letters of John, which are in a later portion of the New Testament. You have the Gospel of John. I'm referring to the Gospel of John, right? In John chapter 10, it starts at 34. Well, in John chapter 10, Jesus is being questioned by the Pharisees about this whole concept, saying that he is God. So they say, blasphemy because you say you are God. Are you God? And his response clearly is it not written in your law? Now, there's things you got to highlight here and point out that people don't. Now, remember, if Jesus believed these Pharisees, who were so-called the religious authority of the Jews at that time, notice he makes a distinct separation from them. He says, is it not written in your law? He didn't say, is it not written in our law? So obviously he was talking to these Jews, but made it clear that they weren't the same type of Jews or his people. How do you know this? Because when you go into the book of Revelations also, which is Jesus' book, in the 2nd chapter, the 9th verse, he refers to these hypocritical Jews. He says, I know of you who say ye are Jews, but ye are from the synagogue of Satan, right? He uses, or from the synagogue of the adversary. Now, the adversary is anything that is in adverse to the norm. Now, you hear the word Satan or Satanas, and you think of the individual on the pitchfork, on the hot sauce bottle with the pitchfork. That's your concept of Satan or the devil. Anybody that was adverse to what everybody was in agreement with was a Satan or Satanas, an adversary. And you see that word used in that context anytime it was in reference to the word adversarial or adverse, right? So keep that in mind. But he called these Jews out, saying that they were hypocrites. So in John 10:34, he says, is it not written in your law that ye are God's children of the Most High? Now, Christians get this twisted because when he makes statements like, you see me, you see God, they're interpreting that saying that he's saying he is God in the flesh. And this is where we get our Trinity concept from. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, three that bear record in heaven as one. This was something inserted in the first letter of John, chapter 5, verse 7. That is not in the original text, and every biblical scholar will tell you that this is something that was added by these different councils that convened, that came together later. And the Trinity had to be inserted in there because the teaching of the triune God was the foundation of the Roman Catholic Church. So they had to have something directly in there to support it. Now you can go look that up. First letter, John 5:7 is not in the original manuscripts. And with that not being there, that would pose a problem, because then the whole concept of the Trinity or the teaching of the triune God would be false. Okay? So Christians will interpret things when Jesus may say, when you see me, you see God. So now the Pharisees, I'm bringing that up because the Pharisees are questioning him on the same thing. But they never expound on his response. So what is he talking about? Is it not written in your law that ye are gods? Now pay attention to the last part of that statement. Children of the Most High. So he's separating himself again. He's clearly making the distinction that there is a Father. Remember, he made statements like, I am not greater than he who sent me. Right? This makes no sense for people that believe in the Trinity concept. It's foolishness. Even in Matthew chapter 6, when he's saying the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be what? Thy name. He didn't say, me who art in heaven, hallowed be my name. So Christians they'll dance semantics around you. Oh no, see, you're missing. No, I'm not misinterpreting. It's clear as day. And I'm not even going to get into the Comforter and the Holy Ghost in John 14. That's a whole nother story. But I'm trying to make the point there's a clear distinction he makes between him and the so-called Heavenly Father. And he's pointing this out to these Pharisees, and he's saying, is it not written in your law that ye are God's children of the Most High? Okay? This is what he's saying. Is it not written in your law that ye are God's children of the Most High? He's getting that from Psalms chapter 82, verse 6. And read Psalms chapter 82. It's only several verses. And what he's quoting is the conversation that King David is having with the Israelite congregation. And he's speaking to them and he's saying, is it not written that ye are God's children of the Most High? But the next verse clearly says, but ye will die like men. Now it's funny, Jesus says that to the Pharisees, because did he not die like a man? Right? And if Jesus really believed he was the omnipotent, the omniscient, the omnipresent, then if he was prophesied to die on the cross at 33, like they so-called claim, then why did his parents flee him, and they flee into Egypt as a child in fear of being murdered? Even if Herod or anybody wanted to seek him out, if it was God's divine plan, nobody would be able to kill Jesus before the age of 33. See, nobody points that stuff out because that's common sense and reasoning. Think about it again. If Jesus really believed that he was the omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient God, and he makes this statement in John chapter 10, 34 to the Pharisees, and then obviously he felt he could be harmed. Even in his 3-year mission while he was preaching, he had to flee from attacks and hide and move around a certain way because obviously he felt that somebody could get at him. Even up until the very time of the so-called story of the Garden of Gethsemane where they seized him and arrested him. This all is playing into my point, where I'm going all this. So he couldn't have believed, according to religious theology, that he was the omnipotent, omniscient, and divine creator of the so-called universe, according to religious theology. So he's referring to Psalms 82. But again, he will die like men. They're making that crystal clear. So why would King David or the prophet David be saying that ye are God's children of the Most High? And then Jesus reiterating the same exact statement in the book of John, chapter 10, verse 34? Well, it's real simple. Because if you go to the 2nd chapter of Genesis, well, let's back up. Let's go to the 1st chapter of Genesis, the 26th verse, where God is having a conversation with a group of beings. And it says, in the Hebrew, in the plural, the Elohim, meaning a multitude of beings. Now, Christians will tell you when Jesus was present there. This is all speculation and theory. But when you see El Elo, singular, that's referring to the creator, Elo. When you see Elohim, it's referring to a plural, that would be God and the angels. So he's having a conversation in Genesis 1:26 with a group of beings. And he said, let us make man in our image. And what? Our likeness. And male and female created he them. And they were fruitful and multiplied, etc. Okay? So Genesis 1 makes it clear that man, and that human is including the female gender too, are made in what? In the image and likeness of who? God. Also, it tells you in the 3rd chapter of Genesis, in the story of the serpent talking to Eve, what happens when they partake of the so-called intoxicant in the garden. It says, what is the statement that the Elohim says, that says, now the man has become like what? One of us, knowing right from wrong, good from evil. So they were on the same level, clearly. And then in Genesis 2, verse 7, it says, God breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So Jesus was recognizing the very essence of the creator that resides in each and every one of us. That's it. It's that simple. The Bible confirms that we are created in the image and likeness of God and the so-called angels. And I'm teaching this from a religious, theological standpoint, and especially for this individual that sent the email. So the Bible makes it crystal clear that we are created in the image and likeness of God himself.